Please welcome IBM General Manager Z Systems, Ross Morey.
Welcome everyone, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you being here today. I'm going to get started just by asking everyone to think about what a mainframe means to them. There's some fundamentals that I think we can all agree on. Hopefully we can. I know when I think of a mainframe, I think about transaction processing, world-class transaction processing. I think about data serving, I think about high availability, I think about trusted and secure computing. I think about running virtualized workloads, multiple types, all with superior economics and efficiency at scale. That is why the mainframe today is the data and transaction hub for the global economy. Now, today, we're going to give you a tour of a lot of the new exciting developments that have been announced recently and this week around the mainframe. And we're going to talk a lot about how redefining digital business, your digital business, how the mainframe plays a central role in that. Now we're going to have a number of speakers come up. I'm going to talk about the new Z13 and some of its capabilities. I'm going to have the CEO of Radix International join me to give you his perspective. Dion Newman is also going to come up a little later. He's going to talk about mobile and how mobile is transforming everything and how it fits, how your systems of engagement and your systems of record and mobile fit together beautifully with the mainframe. We're going to have Beth Smith come up, and there's no one better to talk about analytics on the mainframe and some unique things that we can do with the mainframe today that can't be done on any other system. And finally, Mike Pereira is going to come up, and he's going to talk about modern application development on the mainframe. So we've got a great cast to talk to you today. There's a set of clients that will accompany those presentations. We've got a great panel near the end with some Generation Z or millennials that can give you another perspective about System Z. So let's step back for a second. If you were at a concert in 2004, maybe one like this is probably what it looked like if you're standing near the back. But if you went recently, it probably looks something like this. Everybody holding up their mobile phones, their tablets, taking pictures, recording. This digital technology has really changed the way we act, the way we interact, the way we transact. In fact, there's more than 1 trillion connected objects and devices by the end of this year on the internet. Social is now the #1 use of the internet. There are over 2 billion social connections every day and 3 billion social expressions. It's really driving the knowledge that's out there, and again, the way we work, the way we interact. It's changing our organizations. It's changing how we do business as individuals, how we deal with our family and friends. It's all about being personalized, authentic, and in the moment. Now, one of the things that you don't really realize maybe is that the way mobile affects the systems that it runs on. So back in 2004, the average mobile user did 1 transaction a day. So I would say most people probably did 0, and a few did a little bit more than that, and that averaged out to 1. But in 2014, the average mobile user does 37 transactions a day. Now I know for me, I'm probably below that number, but I know my daughter's above that number, and so again, it averages out. The really interesting thing, though, is a mobile transaction, so using an app on your phone, touching that screen once, can kick off 10, 20, 30, 100 back-end transactions that hit back-end systems. So this explosive growth of mobile devices and the use of mobile is really putting a stress on back-end systems. And that trend is not going away. They say in the next 2 years, the average will be that we all will be doing 50 transactions a day on our phones. And some of those transactions, one touch of a screen, can kick off 500 to 1,000 back-end transactions. So the complexity is growing, the challenge is there. Now, one of the opportunities that's being created with mobile is this combination of mobile and analytics, and I really believe they underpin this new app economy that we're all living in. In that new app economy, leveraging analytics, you can really give a personalized experience to the end user that's using that mobile device. And that's very important because the app that's out there today is now really turning into the face of your company. Maybe your brand used to be more represented by people, whether it was in person or on the phone. But now it's that app that's representing your company. So it's got to be not only well designed, but it's got to function well, because customer experience is the new measure of success. There's no doubt about it. Now, IBM has done more than 6,000 successful mobile solutions with clients around the world. And we've looked at those solutions, and we've looked at patterns, best practices, and we've culled it down to there's 6 things. There's 6 imperatives that you really need to focus on when you're designing and building out your infrastructure for mobile. The first one's availability. It kind of makes sense. When you want that app to work on your phone, doesn't matter what time zone you're in, what time of day it is. If you need to transfer money, if you need to do an enterprise application for your business, you want that app available. Now, really, I think one of the drivers here for the success of any mobile app, and therefore your business, is that users are expecting sub-second response time. They're really expecting that, and I don't know where your threshold of pain is. The statistics say that over three seconds of response time, and more than 50% of the people start leaving that app. I know for me personally, if I have 1 or 2 bad mobile moments, it means it takes too long, I just delete that app off my phone, and it's going to be really hard for me to get it back on there because I've moved on. Now, personalization is also really important. Again, using all the data about us, I'm willing to give up a little of my personal information to get personalized marketing sent to me. I don't want to get spammed and mass mailed information that's for everybody. I want it to be personalized to me, and I want it to be in context of what I'm doing or where I am, so that it's important to me. Another thing is trust. Users today out there, and you've seen the security breaches and all the hacks, you've heard about them going on, there's a low confidence in data security. It's up to all of us to follow the best practices, because you can lock down your systems, you can encrypt your transactions, just follow the best practices, and you can have an airtight lockdown system. Now, integration is also a really important part too, especially integrating that system of engagement with the back-end systems to make that a seamless experience. And finally, scale. Scale and spikes that go on in mobile are tremendous, and they're unpredictable. So, what we've done is we've created a new mainframe and a new stack of software on top of that that was really designed for the mobile generation and the digital economy. We've spent more than $1 billion, more than 5,000 employees. There are more than 500 new patented technologies in the hardware and in the software. We did co-create this with clients. We worked with many clients around the world, doing pilots, proof of concepts, having them review designs, trying things out to make sure that we nailed this. We built that on all those core strengths of the mainframe that I talked about, so we didn't lose any of those fundamentals: transaction processing, data serving, trust, reliability, security, availability. But we built this one specifically with the mobile generation and the mobile explosion in mind, with analytics, and we're doing something interesting and, again, I think unique from an analytics point of view, and of course from the highest level of trust and confidence for your cloud, your private cloud, public cloud, or probably most relevant to you now and in the future is a hybrid cloud. Now, just to touch on some of the features and functions within the hardware and the software, yes, there's 141 cores that you can use in this new mainframe, world's fastest microprocessor, built on 22 nanometer technology, almost 4 billion transistors on a chip about this big, 13 miles of wire in a chip this big. It really is something. But away from the gee whiz aspects of that, clearly more capacity, more performance, and we've done a number of things to boost that system design, so the fastest microprocessor in the industry with the best thread to cache ratio in the industry, with the monster I/O capability. There are 320 separate channels in a system. Each channel has 2 power microprocessors in it, so there could be 640 microprocessors in your mainframe just to do I/O, just to feed the beast. We've doubled the cache and the I/O bandwidth. We've done a lot of things. We've introduced for the first time ever symmetric multiprocessing, SMT2, into our cores. And we've turned it on for Linux and Java, immediately boosting Linux and Java performance and throughput. And I think one of the biggest things we've done is we've increased the amount of main memory you can have up to 10 terabytes. Now, why do I say this is important? There's 2 things. I started programming in assembly language when I was in college in 1977, and my instructor told us to conserve those bits. Every byte, every bit had to count. You had to conserve it. And that's been practiced still through till today. But what I'm telling you now is we need to get away from those constraints of the old. We need to put a lot of memory on these systems. So we've enabled a ton of memory, 10 terabytes to be specific. But what we're also doing is if and when you buy your new Z13, we've got a promotion that will allow you to triple your memory for what you paid for the amount of memory you have on your current machine, or maybe it'll even be a little less than that. So we want to encourage you to fill this box up with memory, faster response times, better virtualized experience, no longer need to be so sensitive around main memory on the mainframe. Now, another key element and set of capabilities we put into the Z13, and Beth is going to talk to you about the DB2 Analytics Accelerator and some of the cool things that does in DB2 Blue and Hadoop. But I would tell you, for the first time in these 13 generations, we put a vector instruction set into the mainframe. The mainframe's always been good at doing transaction processing and that type of arithmetic. But computationally intensive workloads, numerically intensive workloads, really weren't the sweet spot for the mainframe. Well, we've changed that. We put a full SIMD instruction set in, full vector processing, and our analytics software and math libraries exploit that. So you can get significant performance improvements, throughput on your advanced analytics. And in fact, the way we've designed the system, now you can do your online transaction processing without affecting response time or throughput, and you can run your advanced analytics workloads right on that same system as big data warehousing or other types of query processing or advanced real-time analytics side by side. Don't have to move the data off, don't have to incur the cost and complexity and security risks of moving data around, and get the value and the benefit of doing the analytics with the transactions. Now, from a cloud point of view, got more than 8,000 virtual servers on this system, more than 85 LPARs. So today you either use Prism or LPARs for your virtualization environment, or ZVM, or you use both. We're adding a third virtualization environment, putting KVM onto the mainframe and making sure its performance, it's tuned, and it blends in and exploits all of the key technologies. So you'll have 3 options for virtualization. What we've also done for Linux is we've now opened up Z-Aware, so our IT analytics, built-in IT analytics that's on the mainframe, as well as our geographically dispersed parallel sysplex, which is a disaster recovery availability solution. Now the full Linux environment is embraced by both of those scenarios and solutions. We've doubled the speed of our encryption technology. And again, we just announced yesterday this hybrid Cloud Connect test drive. So it's a way for you to test out a hybrid cloud. How would you do that? Well, we'll assign an IBM expert to you. We'll make sure you have the right software. We'll give you 3 months for free on SoftLayer, and you can try out a hybrid secure cloud between SoftLayer and your Z. We continue to enhance the enterprise cloud system, which is an integrated bundled system that if you don't want to do the self-integrate your cloud system, we'll do that for you in our factory. And again, as always, we test the heck out of these systems. You know that they're secure, they're reliable, they're functional. But for the Z13, we did something we had never done before. We put the Z13 while running through an 8.0 Richter scale earthquake test. Can you roll that video, please?
Here in this laboratory, we can run any type of earthquake motion that has existed or has been measured. If a IBM mainframe can pass these motions, then it can be qualified for all the types of earthquakes that we may see and all the types of buildings that the mainframes may be in. We go above and beyond testing with IBM because they want to take their equipment above and beyond what the code requires.
We have to make certain that no matter whether you've deployed your Z in the middle of the Mojave Desert or you've decided to do so somewhere in Alaska, these systems are able to survive in almost any environment so that their customers, no matter what happens within the data center itself, that their customers never see a blip.
That's what high availability is about. We have 24/7 support for our clients, whether it's an operating system or the hardware. We have many different types of error checking built across the system to prevent the system from ever having a problem. We can correct problems that other systems only dream of correcting on.
Now, when you buy your new Z13, I promise you won't get that one. That one did run through that whole test. It's back in our development labs in Poughkeepsie now. But it just shows you the kind of scrutiny and testing and how hard we are on our systems so that they perform flawlessly for you. Now, there's another set of things we announced, and I'd just like to recap very briefly. There's 4 major software announcements around software terms and conditions and pricing. And I can't go into details, but that co-located application pricing and country multiplex pricing really changes the game for software pricing on Z. It allows you to containerize new workloads and only pay for what you use, regardless of the size of the LPAR they're in. It also takes away, the country multiplex pricing also takes away all of the configuration constraints that you've dealt with for the last 15 plus years that have to do with pricing. Has to be an assistplex, has to be at least half data sharing, has to do this. What it'll do is it'll normalize your pricing to your best pricing across any country, and it'll allow you to run the work where you want to run it, when you want to run it, and only pay the MSUs for what you use. Now, as industries are transforming, we've seen retail and financial services and travel. What I'd like to do is I'd like to now hear from Ron Perry. Ron is the CEO of Radix International. He's in the middle of the travel and transformation industry and the transformation that's going on there. Ron, welcome.
Great, Ross, thank you very much. Do we have any hockey fans in the audience? Great. Wayne Gretzky, probably, arguably, the greatest player of all time. A reporter came up to him and said, "What is the secret of greatness for you?" And he said, "Other players go to where the puck is. I go to where the puck is going to be." So the question is, where is the technology puck going? Well, if you were to go back 25 years, as far as I could tell, the technology puck was moving from mainframes to networks of servers. And for the last quarter century, that's been my life. I was a server bigot, absolutely convinced that that was it forever and ever. 3 months ago, everything changed. I now realize the technology puck is going right over there to the Z system. And so we're moving from a server farm to Z. We have a beautiful new Z mainframe that looks just like that one sitting in our cage in Orlando, Florida. We're finishing up the implementation right now. I am really impressed because as we're going through it, we're discovering there's far more than what we use to justify the move that we're discovering as we go over. The benefits have been massive. Let me tell you a little bit about Radix first. We're a software as a service company. Roughly 95% of our revenue is transaction fees based upon people booking or boarding flights. Our clients are airlines. Our airlines are all over the world, but primarily outside the US. We're optimized for the developing world, and for all of those places where cash is the primary means of currency. You know how hard it is to make a booking online and shove a few dollars into the screen? It doesn't work. And so that's a challenge that most of the rest of the world has to deal with. And for the last 22 years, we've been working on solving those challenges. So somebody will go online and they'll make a booking, and when they book, they have maybe 8 hours, maybe 24 hours to get to the ATM in Dubai in order to put in their confirmation number and then have the money transferred to the airline. Or somebody in Nigeria goes to a travel agent who has prepaid the airline enough so that they can make bookings for the month, and no cash changes hands. But passengers can go online and accomplish things, and what we've seen is that for much of the world, the challenge is payment processing. And so there's a sense in which we're a massive payment processor with alternative forms of payments. And so the net result of all of that is we can't go down. We can't go down for another reason. The airlines themselves lose sales instantly if our system goes down. It is the airlines' inventory that we host. All their fares, all their availability, all the passenger bookings and the rest. So if somebody goes to a travel agent anywhere in the world and the person is going to be flying on our airline or one of our airlines, it's coming into us. If they're standing in line at the bus station and they're asking for a month's worth of flight schedule, that all comes into us. They can't go down. If they go down, our largest airlines lose sales in the neighborhood of $1 million per hour. So we're running all of this right now on roughly 400 servers. It's a big private cloud. And I can tell you it is challenging to keep a cloud like that reliable. Now we've done extremely well, by the way. You can Google any one of our competitors who do similar hosting and just add the word outage, and you'll see a lot of outages reported on the web. If you Google Radixson outage, you won't find any. But it's been a massive manual effort. We've had to do all kinds of things in order to keep the server farms up, running, and reliable. And now, as we've seen this massive increase in mobile demand, we're realizing that we have to scale far too rapidly. And it's very hard. We'll get a phone call as well from an airline, let's say in India, who will call and say, our competitor just started a fare sale. They've dropped their prices by 50%. Can you please add some servers because we're going to have to do that too? So our presumption in our contracts is they'll give us 7 days advance notice. The reality is we may get 7 minutes advance notice. How do you provision all of those servers that rapidly? With a mainframe like the Z, you're able to dynamically reallocate. It's awesome. Plus we have 10 cores, and then there's 10 spare cores that if we need to, we can get on a daily basis. We have online travel agencies that connect directly into our system. 60% of the demand in some parts of the world come from these online travel agents, and it's totally unconstrained. We face constant hacking attacks, as does everyone. Front page of the news virtually every day is another attempt, or a sometimes successful attempt, to hack somebody. With the mainframe, that's a closed system, very hard to hack. And the reliability, the built-in redundancy on that system is awesome. And the thought that over the next 3 years, as we've looked at our pricing for total cost of ownership, the development, the addition of items, the expansion of the system is all within the box. That's fantastic. Instead of adding cages and adding servers and adding wires and adding routers and adding switches and so on. The total cost of ownership reduction that we're looking at right now, we estimate to be approximately 35%. And we keep finding more ways in which we are saving money. Some things are obvious, like the amount of space. I mean, take roughly 1/10 the space if we fill it out of what it would take if we tried to do it with a server farm, actually a bit more than that. When we look at the expansion, the manual management that we have to do, and the rest, so much easier in a mainframe. Everything designed by one company intended to work together. So what we are moving to, all of our systems of record will move to the mainframe. Database, data warehouse, MQ, all the APIs. We're going from 172 to x86 cores down to 10 Z system cores. Net effect of that is all of that licensing that's core-based is actually less expensive on the mainframe than it is on servers. Systems of engagement will move to the cloud. Where's the technology puck going? I can tell you for us, there's no question. That's where it's going. My suspicion is that if you investigate the cold, hard facts, you'll discover that if you're running a big server farm, that's where the technology puck is going for you as well. And it wouldn't surprise me that sometime in the not very near future, you will be up here speaking about your move from server farm to a Z system, just like me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so a little introduction to Z13, great testimonial from a CEO. Let's move now and delve farther into the mobile aspects. With all of the dynamic things going on, there's a lot of technology involved. There's a lot of benefits for you. I'd like to invite Dion Newman up to take us through the mobile segment. Dion. Thanks.
Well, good morning. What a great start so far. I love Vintage Trouble, and Ron, great testimonial. Thank you very much. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about mobile. Ross set it up really well for us. Mobile is driving unprecedented growth in transactions. People demanding availability all the time. We expect less than a second, in fact, response time when we hit that enter key. And if we don't get that response time, what do? We hit it again, and we hit it again. And that transaction growth that Ross talked about over the last 10 years, a 37x growth in transactions, we see that going another 4x by 2025. We're looking at huge exponential growth like we haven't seen before, all because of our mobile devices. Now, what's a little terrifying from a back-end standpoint is that each of those front-end transactions actually generates a huge number of back-end transactions. That might be up to 100 back-end transactions that you're generating with every single one of those transactions. We recently had a discussion with a UK-based bank. They'd built a mobile app out of the marketing department. That mobile application, when you logged in, generated 27 different back-end transactions just for logging in. And each time you hit refresh, it's another 27 transactions. They actually had a little old lady who, she hit the maximum number of transactions you could do in this app per session, and that was 1,000. And the bank, when she logged in again and started hitting refresh again and again, they called her up and they said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm waiting for a 20-pound check to clear." And she was just sitting there hitting refresh, generating all of these back-end transactions on their systems. Huge growth and huge implications on the system of record. Now, the key to a mobile app is client experience. That's what we want to deliver. We want to compete, as Ross said, in that battleground for client experience. We need a great mobile app to do that. But only a small percentage of our time and our effort, in fact, is going to be spent on that user design. We estimate about 30% of the effort will be there. In fact, the majority of your effort and your spend and the hard work is going to be on that back end. That's where your application development efforts will really be. Because the value here is about that personalization that Ross talked about. You need the availability, you need the security, you need the speed, and we can deliver that with the Z13. But actually, where you're really going to compete is around the personalization. Do it for me. Make it personalized to me. Know my transactions by history. Make sure you're serving me as a customer, the demographic of one. That's what really matters. But what's interesting is most mobile developers, they're really not thinking about that. They just want to plug in and, the back end will take care of itself. So this is a big challenge, and this is where a lot of your attention, a lot of your focus is going to be, and it's where we've put our attention on building out the tooling and the software to help you go about this. We understand this challenge. Your businesses are asking you to give them apps that are going to deliver more value for their business objectives. They don't care about that back end, unfortunately, though. And most of those app developers, as I said, really don't want to know or need to know what's going on at the back. So we're going to try and make that easier for you to link your systems of engagement and your systems of record. Now, we've built out a huge suite here to think about how your mobile apps are going to connect up. We've built out a lot of smart APIs that'll connect into back-end services. We've enabled all of our ZOS core technologies with things like ZOS, with Worklight on Linux, on Z, to enable you to have that back-end experience as well as your front end. With Bluemix, we've delivered a whole lot of RESTful APIs within ZOS Connect. We've put new mobile feature packs out for Kix and for IMS. Support for JSON, support for NoSQL, support for DB2, so that you can really build out a true personalized experience with that system of record integration to your systems of engagement and that end user client experience. And all of this has been optimized on the new Z13. Now, the Z13, Ross said, has been built for this mobile experience. It has been built to do 30,000 transactions per second, 2.5 billion transactions a day. That's 100 Cyber Mondays that you could run on one of these things. It is built for speed, and it's built for this mobile economy. We've got more memory than ever. Ross said 10 terabytes of memory. I mean, that's extraordinary and huge, and allows an enormous amount of client data to be served up and kept there so that that personalization can truly happen. Huge I/O to move that data around. 640 cores in there. That built-in analytic capability that Beth's going to take us through, and crypto capabilities that are much faster, because what we see is, just like Ron said, more and more hacking attempts all the time. The security gets more and more important in this new digital world. So I want to give you a little example of some of the art of the possible here. And we're going to use a healthcare example because we all care about our health, and health costs are rising. And in fact, things like HIPAA and the like are actually putting a lot of regulations around your data, your patient data. And so we're going to do a little example here. We're going to take some wearables. This is another hot trend. I mean, it's growing at 17% CAGR, expected over the next 5 years. And we're going to put together a little app here to show you what could be done. We'll show you how it's secure, available. We'll show you how it could scale. Most importantly, what we're going to demonstrate and talk to you about is the integration of the system of record data, your patient information in this case, and the system of engagement in the mobile demonstration. So to do that, I'm going to bring up Kyle. He's somewhere here. Here he is. Please welcome Kyle to take us through the demo.
I don't need that. All right, thanks, Dion. So you heard some of the challenges that are in the healthcare industry today. And these challenges certainly exist in other industries as well. And delivering applications that offer secure access to the right data is absolutely essential. So, we've been hearing a lot about cloud, mobile, and Z systems, all in the same sentence, right? So what do you think about that? Right? To me, I think it means I can build a really cool app really quickly, and not just a cool app, but one that's actually critical to my business. Right? And this is very, very important. We have a lot of clients doing this today, thankfully. Right? They're building applications that are linking together multiple systems and building an engaging experience for their consumers. We have many clients that want to do this. Sadly, we have others that don't realize that they can. Right? So that's part of what we're going to show you today. Right? We're going to talk about that. I'm going to show you how easy it really is. Now, it starts with an API. Right? That's where this whole thing starts, right? An API, they're not all created equal, right? So an API that's easily discoverable and easily consumable. That's very, very important. As a developer, that's all I need, right? And for the growing API economy, that's what's necessary, right? The APIs don't only, blur the lines between different platforms and systems. A good API removes those lines altogether. It's very, very important. Z systems are there front and center. The ZOS Connect technology that Dion just talked about is really foundational to a lot of the System Z movement to the API economy. So again, give a developer a good API, and they're going to use it. Give a developer a good API that's reliable, scales, and performs, and they're going to use it forever. So I'm going to take a moment and show you guys the app very quickly. And we also are going to have Dion wear something that we're going to show.
Well, this wasn't part of the rehearsal.
Yeah, I really wanted to get something that looked absolutely ridiculous, but unfortunately, that's the best I could come up with. So while he's putting that on, I'll just show you a few of the features of the app, and I'll take a look. My iPad has been yelling at me all day long to take my prescription for the day, my medicine for the day. So I wanted to keep it here so I could show you guys. Now that I started the app, it's not going to let me go any further. Right? So what's happening is this application is interacting with the mainframe and other systems. Right? It's really, it's highlighting real-time patient monitoring, health data, and biosensor analysis, which I'm going to show you in a moment. So for one, let me go ahead and take my prescriptions, confirm that I'm going to take them. And yes, I have no idea what that medication is, by the way. Just so you guys know, this is fake data. I like to think of myself as a pillar of health, so I'm not actually on any of these medications right now. I will also take a look at what other prescriptions I have for the rest of the day. And oh look, expertly timed is the fact that I need to get a refill. Right? If I happen to hit the yes button, I won't. But if I did, it would kick off an entire flow that would actually not only access the mainframe to get my account information, also go and procure the medicine at my local pharmacy, right? So this is other things that this application can absolutely do. And so I can go through and check out the other medications for the day. That's acting a little odd right now, so we won't deal with that. The last thing I want to show you now is this biosensor collection of data, right? The mental focus part. So Dion looks like he is ready. What we're going to do is measure his level of focus. So you're going to see some bar charts go up, and they're going to measure how focused he is. Really, how much is he paying attention to what I'm saying right now? Hopefully, the higher the bar, the better he's paying attention. This will be fantastic. Now, before I hit this, while this is cool, what this is really highlighting is something that's a growing trend today, which is collect new sources of information, blend them with existing information, and enable new outcomes. Specifically, take the brainwave activity, right? Blend it with patient history, current prescription medication that I am on, and the outcomes are, because certainly medicines affect brainwave activity, this is specifically EEG data, right? So while this app can absolutely chart his focus, and we're going to take a look at that in a moment, what's really happening as well is this data is being sent to the mainframe for analysis by the experts who actually know what they're doing. So here, this is not good. They're all over the map. You're trying really hard.
I had some activity going on up here.
Yes, there was definitely some activity. Oh, it's really low now. So this is happening live, right? So you can imagine this type of sensitive data, right? System Z is a natural fit. As Internet of Things devices become more and more prevalent, the speed of that data needs to get sent to the mainframe, right? The Z system delivers here. It absolutely delivers. So I'm going to kick back out of this app now and save Dion the trouble of having to worry that any further. So how did we get there, right? It started with ZOS Connect, right? A unified solution for all of C system targets, right? CICS, IMS, DB2, right? That's foundational. Now on top of that, we added some Bluemix services, right? As an example, we added in the secure gateway service. So you can securely tunnel from Bluemix, from the cloud, into your DMZ behind the firewall and onwards to your Z systems. Right, that's one. Two, we added API management services on top of that. Also critical. Right? What does API management do? It gives you availability of your service, discoverability of your service. It does rate limiting. Right? Also does service level analytics. Right? All these pieces were a part of this application. We also even brought in Watson Q&A service from Bluemix. It has a medical corpus. So in this app, you can actually ask Dr. Watson some questions. Also pretty cool stuff. So that's it for the app. What I'll leave you with is you put your data on System Z for a reason. Keep it there, please. You should, right? Expose it as an API, right? That's what you need to do. For developers, that's what they need. And for the business, they can sleep well knowing that that API is backed by Z systems. I was really hoping for some confetti and fanfare and maybe the band to come back out to really punctuate that last statement. Instead, I'll just thank you for your time and hand it back to Dion.
Thanks, Kyle. So this morning when Kyle said he wanted me to be a part of his demonstration, I told him I was a little nervous about it, and he said, don't worry, it's completely idiot-proof. And I now know exactly what he meant about that. Okay. The next part of our agenda here, we wanted to bring a client up to talk a little bit about this mobile phenomenon and some of the things they're doing. Cicobi is the largest credit union in Brazil. They have over 2.5 million members. They're also co-owners of Cicobi. And they're seeing huge growth in mobile, nearly 600% growth in mobile. Their internet footprint is growing 200%. They're growing fast. And they're choosing Z to manage that growth, and we thought it'd be an interesting story. So I'd like to bring up on stage Marcos Vinicius from Cicobi. Please make him welcome. Come on up, Marcos. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
So, Marcos, for those of us not fluent in Brazil and Portuguese, maybe you could give us a little bit of a rundown on Cicobi and what you do and your business, and just share some of the information, please.
Dion, I'm an infrastructure manager. Cicobi, as Dion said, is the largest credit union system in Brazil. In terms of services, you have the same transaction, the same service as a regular bank. But in terms of composition, you are so different. Why? How? Because our customer and our client is the owner too. They have two caps. So what this means? Mean that in the end of the year, you need to share all money, all profit that you have been made in the year with our customer because they are owner. So you are very happy work to Cicobi because you work to society. You help to society because the money go back to small cities. Yes? This is the main fact that our company is growing so fast, 25% a year. This is the main point.
So that's great to be a part of a business that is growing so fast and returning to its owners. So you made an unusual decision, like a little bit like the skating to the puck that Ron talked about. 6 years ago, you chose to move your business from an x86 marketplace server infrastructure to a mainframe. Mm-hmm. So why did you do that?
In 2005, I have more than 400 servers to process all transactions of our business. We have a strategy to put in the air mobile application, mobile service. And mobile use needs and wants the mobile services anywhere, anytime. So how can I process so many transactions, so many money with 400 servers that broke it all day? Because all day I have just one server that's broken. When I solve one, another one broke it. So you need a study. You need to do a study that proves that mainframe technology, hard, strong technology, is better for Cicobi, and it's more cheaper too. Why? Because 407 is so expensive to maintain with license cost, with power consumption. We save 1.5 million per year with power consumption. A lot of money we save with license costs. So when you move to mainframe, our user taste that our transaction, our mobile transactions, stay there when they need. So this, when our user realize that can trust in our transaction, our mobile service grow 600% in the last year. 600%. This is our strategy.
So you save $1.5 million on energy alone.
Yes.
And then large software savings as well, which is, that's pretty compelling argument. So listen, there's a great story you told me about your wife, and I think as we wrap up this little interview here, I thought it might be a fun story to share with the audience. Most of us have spouses, and this is quite a funny little story. Marcus, maybe share that.
It's a history of love about my wife and mainframe. In the past, my cell phone ring a lot. My cell phone stay beside me at night. So when I have problem, my team call me, and all night I woke up, my wife wake up with me and help me to solve problem. So when you use mainframe, the problems, it's nothing, I don't have problem more. My cell phone doesn't ring anymore. My wife asked me, what happened to Cicobi that your cell phone doesn't ring anymore and we can sleep? How can I explain for an architecture that this mainframe is a technology? So mainframe is a server, it's a big server, strong, with better performance, better availability. So my wife, I love mainframe. I would you like to know mainframe? Please, I would you like to go to Cicobi and know mainframe? So, for my company, thank you. I know that for IBM, mainframe has 95% of availabilities. It's a number. For our company, mainframe is a strong strategy to support our business. For me, It's a great technology, so excited to work. And for my wife and I, as a family, it's quality of life. I can sleep better. Yes.
Marcus, thank you very, very much.
Just a minute.
Sorry, one more thing.
Yes. I would like to say, my wife and I would like to say thank you, guys. Mainframe team, mainframe design, ZVM design. You a good job.
Thank you, Marcus. There you go, the wonders of the modern mainframe. It'll help in marital issues as well. So truly wonderful. And I'm sure many of you are going to go out and get a mainframe after spending all this time in Vegas afterwards as well. So listen, we talked a little bit about personalization in my presentation, but you know, the power of these apps really comes down to being able to deliver to the demographic of one. To talk a little bit more about the insight that can deliver against that can provide real-time analytics, that can really bring that differentiation that you have. I'm delighted to invite General Manager for our analytic business, Beth Smith. Please make her welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Wow, some great stories here. You know, I've spent my entire career, it was after Ross, but I've spent it around mainframe in different ways, and it's proud to sit in the audience and hear these stories and hear what the technology is doing. What I want to spend the next few minutes talking to you about is analytics. Data and analytics. Analytics are the things that turn that data into insight, to something valuable. And there's no doubt the world we're in has changed, and data is now being generated from everything, everywhere we turn. And analytics have now opened up as well, such that we have an unprecedented opportunity to now put that data to work. So in the next few minutes, I want to talk about that. Starting with, data is the world's new natural resource. And the pursuit of the competitive advantage is really fueled by data and analytics. And we see this happening in every industry, from banking to healthcare, in organizations large and small. The reason? Well, clients who put analytics at the center of their business drive transformational outcomes. Analytics are no longer only about seeing how the business is done. Analytics are now driving how your business will actually perform. So it really is about systems of insight, and they transform every business function. Most people started with things like attracting, growing, retaining customers. But across this wheel, you see the different use cases that really do benefit from these systems of insight. And you see at the top, it's about creating new business models and those new business opportunities that data combined with analytics can bring you. So now, Kyle said, you put the data on the mainframe for a reason. That's true. So now what you want to be able to do is bring those powerful analytics to that data and tie together your transactions with your analytics to be able to do things such that now you can benefit from that data lifecycle and governance that you have already, so that you can eliminate redundancy, so you can avoid ETL of moving it somewhere else. And this is really what we have been focused on in how we help bring analytics to the System Z platform. It really, at the end of the day, eliminates latency, enables simplicity, reduces cost, and quite frankly, gives you real-time integration of analytics. And it's comprehensive. You know already the value of the mainframe platform. And IBM has the most complete and comprehensive set of data and analytics offerings and capabilities across that platform. Whether or not it's Cognos for descriptive analytics, through SPSS for predictive, all the way through IDAA that I'm going to talk about a little bit more, as well as iLog for optimization, or it's some of our ISVs, even solutions like SAS. It's all here on the mainframe to give you that end-to-end experience. Now, Ross talked about some of the announcements related to the Z13, and I want to just share a few of those with you now. So, in case you didn't know, DB2 for Blue Acceleration is now available on Linux for Z. Now, DB2 with Blue Acceleration is our in-memory columnar database focused on analytics, and it includes in that a number of innovations that really set it apart. Now you have that on the mainframe, and with the new Z13 10 terabytes of memory, it is a great complement with Blue. Ross also talked about the SIMD capability and support. This is a great complement with Cplex for really solving those complex mathematical problems. And everybody today is talking about, when they talk about data and big data, they're talking about Hadoop. IBM's flagship product around Hadoop is called Big Insights. It's also available on Z-System. You know, Hadoop is usually the go-to, the main technology for exploiting data and analytics and, you know, for storing that. But there's a lot of times sensitive information in that, so it's valuable to be able to, again, bring those analytics to where your data is. We've tried to simplify the population of those Hadoop clusters with a Z-Systems connector for Hadoop. And now I want to spend a few minutes on IBM DB2 Analytics Accelerator. So this is actually technology that brings together our Netezza technology, brings it to the mainframe, and allows you to leave that data where you put it, why you put it there, and yet have the benefit of the analytics and not use your ZMIPS in order to do it. Now, let me talk to you a little bit about how it performs. I have to compare it to Exadata, and we've done that, and IDAA outperforms it in every dimension. 17 times the performance, 13 times the price performance. So just think about it. You could pay $514 US per report per hour, or you could pay 40. You could get 5,300 reports per hour, or if you're going to be an insight-driven business, you could get 92,000 reports per hour. And even when discounts are applied, let me tell you something, they cannot come close to what we can do from an IDAA standpoint with System Z. Let me give you a couple of customer examples. Petrol. So their existing analytic processes really made it difficult for them to be able to put the historical data with that transactional data to then service their retail stores, etc. With IDAA and those high-performance queries, along with SPSS for predictive, they were now able to make real-time point-of-sale product recommendations, new business opportunities. Swiss MobiR is an insurance company, and they were struggling with, you know, did they have timely and accurate data? Because that was important for customer satisfaction. They were able to get that with IDAA without having to increase their compute requirements. Again, an advantage of being able to bring the analytics to the data. So we see this with customers across the board. I want to talk about a new customer, Kenya Power. And, you know, they're about 7,000 employees. Today, they have 2.6 million customers. And they are expecting that by 2017, that will be 3.6 million. Now, that, not only based on where they're located, but that kind of growth really presents some huge challenges. So I'd like to take a few minutes, roll the video, and you hear from them.
We usually start at 7. It's very dark, very foggy. So we use electricity to light our classes. At night, this place has a lot of security problems. So we need electricity throughout the night.
No country can develop in darkness. The more access Kenyans have to power, the better they are. Kenya Power is the main distributor and transmitter and retailer of electricity in Kenya. We have 2,800,000 customers located all over Kenya.
At the moment, the access rate for electricity in Kenya is around 32 to 35%. We are not happy about that. We are committed to ensure that this accessibility rate is pushed up, and we are looking at 70% by 2017 and universal accessibility by 2020.
We cannot be able to succeed in this respect without deployment of technologies. This IBM mainframe system is going to assist us in so many ways, particularly in enhancing our customer service. For bigger customers, reliable energy is an opportunity for them to manufacture their products and be able to serve their orders on time and therefore create wealth for the economy.
Savannah Cement is the latest entrant in the cement industry in Kenya. Our plant is a state-of-the-art emission-free plant. We believe that it's possible to manufacture cement without polluting the environment. It is not possible to produce cement without reliable power. We are 100% dependent on Kenya Power for executing our customer orders.
The IBM mainframe gives an opportunity now for us to be able to run most of our major critical systems in one box.
The IBM mainframe offers us one source of truth. Business analytics will really assist us a lot. By determining individual customers' behavior, we should be able to give customers individual attention.
With the information systems being integrated, we are able to put all that data together, analyze it, and get very quick decisions on what needs to be done for the company.
We've also seen the number of unscheduled outages going down significantly. That is very, very important because it means we've had uninterrupted operations. It has a direct impact on our ability to serve our customers.
We never used to have enough electricity. We would want to light the classes, but we could not. Electricity is now almost 100% reliable.
Availability is key. The customers are querying the system to know their BUs or to know their status of the outages. We are not allowed 1 minute downtime. For that zero downtime on the IBM mainframe, we are very grateful. We have enhanced performance, enhanced functionalities, and also the reliability.
We consider this a breakthrough in terms of offering uniform service to our customers. Energy is the enabler, the one pillar that if we use it very well, we should be able to take Kenya to the next level.
So I'd just like to leave you with the message that we're tightening up that data life cycle, that data and analytics life cycle, to squeeze out latency, complexity, and cost by ensuring that we are driving the right tools and capabilities into the platform to help blur the lines between transactions and analytics. Because at the end of the day, it is really about how you can apply analytics to your business in order to innovate with speed. Thank you very much. Have a great conference. Ross, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you very much. So mobile analytics, and now another important topic that I think encompasses all areas because it's about developing new applications, the modern development environment. And for that, I'd like to ask Mike Pereira to come up to stage. Mike's my leader for Z13 software. Mike.
So good afternoon. I spend an awful lot of time on an airplane, traveling the globe and meeting with clients. And inevitably, the conversation around economics of the platform comes up. As it does, address a lot of the perspectives and perceptions around costs of the platform, and ultimately come back to look at the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. On System Z, we run almost 70% of the production workload in the world for 6% of the overall IT spend. Dr. Howard Rubin's been doing some studies over the last few years looking at companies and their performance as it relates to IT. The leaders leveraging Z systems are 35% more cost effective. If you take into account growth as well and the overall economic efficiency, 3 times more cost effective. By the way, for those who think Z equals legacy, it's about assembler, it's about COBOL, it's about PL1, we do all those things and we do them really well. With the Z13, we took one of our middleware solutions, which is a Java-based application, put it side by side next to Intel Haswell, the latest and greatest. Without any tuning, we outperformed it by more than 50%. I'm here to tell you today that Z Systems is the most performant Java platform in the world. Now, many of you are probably looking at each other going, what did he just say? Right. Many of you are also probably sitting there thinking, I don't believe it. I welcome your skepticism, bring it on, and have us come prove it to you. So, it's not just about performance though, right? Ultimately, it's about operational efficiency. It's about bringing more business value to you and to your companies. With the Z13, we announced a dozen patterns based on Linux on Z, improving the deployment time and effort by more than 80%. At the same time, we continue to invest in the underpinnings of the platform. With the Z13, our latest compiler technology, that gets 17% better. And oh, by the way, for those who like to talk about skills, the platform is open. Java is Java. Linux is Linux. OpenStack is OpenStack. Docker is Docker. Node is Node. It all runs on Z. It happens to run better than anywhere else. Finally, Bluemix. So many of you have heard about Bluemix now. We started talking about it last year. We talked about a lot of visions last year. This year, and yesterday I actually demonstrated, and in fact we had an analyst, James Governor, in the room as I demonstrated how easy it is to take an application based on Z Systems on-premise, augment that application with Bluemix services real time in minutes, and produce a brand new application. It's a hybrid application. James' description was legitimately stunning, which are 2 words that have never been found in nature before associated with Mike Pereira. So I'll take the compliment as it relates to the technology, certainly, but it really speaks to this world and what we can do as we build a bridge, if you would, around the moat, as James likes to talk about. So, talking a little bit more about Bluemix, Ross mentioned this earlier, we're so confident in our ability to prove this to you, we will bring a subject matter expert to your shop, establish the secure connection, and help you get it up and running with a few free months, 3 specifically, of software running a virtual server with the gateway as a service. Similarly, we're happy to do the exact same thing, come to you with a subject matter expert around your mobile applications with Bluemix as a hybrid, on-premise, as an alternative. It doesn't matter. Right? We will come and show and demonstrate and help you demonstrate the value of it. So what I'd like to do now is stop talking about Z and let you hear directly from our clients. So if I can ask our panelists to please come up, and as they do come up, I'd like to introduce each of them. So a tremendously diverse panel that we have in many different ways, but also, and more importantly, have done a phenomenal job of proving the possible, right? Making the extraordinary actually happen. So starting with Jan Kennerts. So some of you may have heard the urban legend that's been evolving around running Minecraft on Z. And I'm here to tell you, and Jan in person now, that's not an urban legend. This is the guy that did it. And did it as an intern. And did it with having virtually no Z experience whatsoever. Right? Back to Java is Java. Next, I'd like to introduce Randy Firking. Randy's got over 30 years in the industry working on Z. He spent almost the last 8 now with Walmart around their enterprise platform services. And he's really done a phenomenal job of taking Z services, Z-based services, and exposing them in the cloud across the Walmart enterprise for others to consume. In fact, all of the applications that are consuming those Z-based services today, not a single one originates on Z. Right? And last, but certainly not least, Magda Karam. So last year, with the 50th anniversary, we ran the Mobilize the Mainframe Master the Mainframe World Championships. And Magda was the winner for North America. She finished 4th in the entire world. And prior to that, she started with her undergrad in India, consulted for a few years, then came to the U.S. at the University of South Florida to get her master's in management information systems. And she's also highlighted as one of the featured women in technologists here at the conference for this week. So please help me welcome the panel. So, Randy, I'm sure many people here are, again, questioning what I'm saying, which doesn't, is not new. But, they really want to know, so tell me a little bit about how many times your services are now being accessed across the Walmart enterprise.
Okay. So in 2007, when I joined Walmart, we were executing approximately 200 million transactions a day in CICS. In 2009, we introduced CICS Web Services primarily as a data access layer, enabling the distributed platform to access DB2 and IMS through SOA services. Since introducing those services, we now average over 500 million transactions a day in production, almost 2.5 times the volume.
Wow, that's tremendous. And in terms of financial implications, how did you justify? What's been your experience since enabling all those transactions?
Okay, well, more recently, over the past 2 years, we've been developing several cloud services that run under ZOS and CICS. Our first cloud service is actually a distributed caching product that runs on ZOS, and it offers a 5-to-1 cost ratio in favor of ZOS against or over comparable x86 software solutions. The second service we created is an actual key value database cloud service, again, running in CICS and ZOS. It's a key value database that supports structured as well as unstructured data such as GIF, JPEG, PDFs, movies. We actually can store videos up to 2 gigabyte object sizes. So we have an application that runs at the stores across the United States where they need to access our key value cloud database to get to PDF information. So our solution provides a 10-to-1 cost ratio for that service over comparable virtualized Linux solutions.
Wow, that's tremendous. So, Jan, first I got to share a quick personal story. So I have an 8-year-old son who I've tried to explain many times what I do for a living, and it's never quite clicked. And I mentioned him this morning as I was talking to him that I'm going to be speaking with the guy who runs Minecraft. He didn't really need to know the details about that. And all of a sudden, I became one of the coolest dads in the world, so thank you. Thank you for helping me there. With that being said, can you tell me a little bit about what was your motivation to run Minecraft on Z to begin with?
Yeah, sure. So to give a bit of context, I was doing an internship about 2 years ago as a college student in a very large bank back in Belgium where I live. And I kind of finished the assignment that I got there in about half the time I was given. So I had 6 weeks left to toy with their mainframe. And, as a college student, not knowing how long I was going to be, on this system, it's a unique opportunity and you got to exploit that. So I started throwing the craziest stuff at it first. And this was one of those things that I thought would never work, because the guy that wrote it, he never knew that it was going to run on Z. So I just tried it and, rest is history, it worked.
And you mentioned, I'm sure everybody would be happy to just give you access to their mainframe, right?
Yeah.
So
call me anytime.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you had 6 weeks of kind of free time to do what you want with it. That somewhat addresses how long did it take you on a maximum, but how long did it take you to actually get it up and running, and did you have any challenges or any surprises?
Well, that's the fun part. I just threw it on there. It's a .jar file, like any Java application, downloaded it off of the website, FTP'd it onto the machine, and it just ran. So the thing is, you can just get your Java developers to make applications, throw them on Z without them knowing, and then just run it. And then 6 months later, you can tell them if you want, and then maybe they'll get interested in Z, who knows.
Great. Everybody take that back to your shops. Not endorsed by IBM, but Jan, absolutely.
Yes, please, or I'll be out of a job in 10 years.
So Magda, now you came and participated and did extremely well in the Master of the Mainframe contest. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what that experience was and what you learned from it?
Okay, so I came to know about the Master of the Mainframe contest when I was doing my Master's in Management Information Systems at University of South Florida. So as part of the academic initiative, they run this contest. And in this contest, no matter what your background skills are or how much experience you have, this contest can be participated by any student. So there were students who didn't know anything about mainframes or few who had a lot of experience. For my experience, it was a great challenge because there were simple tasks as getting to log in onto mainframes, and there were tough tasks as creating a new application and then running it on mainframes. So it was a whole cycle from system of engagement to system of records. And the challenge, the timing was also like we could do the task between our lectures, like when we had time between our lectures, and there were few tasks which were difficult, which would take days and nights altogether. But once the whole challenge, when all the tasks were completed, and then finally I got to know that I had won the contest, so it was amazing experience altogether.
Okay, great. And as a relatively new employee, full-time at least, what would you say to folks out there who are looking for skills and are looking to revitalize a bit Z and the skill set and where they should go looking and what, from your perspective as an employee, would bring to the table?
So based on my experience, I think that it's all about getting opportunities. In my whole small experience, which I have for 7 years, I had got corporate training in Z skills. Then when I was doing my master's, there were courses which were there, and also the IBM initiative. So few opportunities like this helped me to get a good knowledge of Z skills and get experienced and more exposure in that. So things like this is definitely going to help us to get good jobs.
Great, thank you. So Randy, as we kind of wrap up the panel here, I mentioned that none of the originating apps that access your services run on Z today. How did you get non-Z developers to leverage your services?
Well, that's a good question.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome. So 2 years ago, we had a major customer-facing application that required a enterprise distributed caching service for the next production rollout. The product that they had selected was having some performance and availability issues. So we decided that we'd go ahead and create our own caching service, offered as a cloud service on ZOS through CICS. That application hits our cloud service approximately 15 million times a day. Since being enrolled into production 2 years ago, it's over 15 billion cache hits in production. Okay, so along with that service, though, we also created our own self-service provisioning portal, again, using ZOS and CICS. Our self-service provisioning portal enables our developers to provision their own cache or provision their own database in under 10 seconds. Okay? 10 seconds time, they're up and running. So when people or the developers started to hear about the capabilities of these services, the reliability of these services, and the speed to market through our self-service provisioning portal, these services became very popular very fast.
And as somebody who's been at this for a while, I'd imagine one of the concerns is I'm all of a sudden giving access to Z to all these people. I've got no control over it. I have no idea what kind of demands it's going to put on the system. Was that a concern, and how did you try and address it?
Okay, so we run a high volume of transactions today in CICS. We also encounter those unexpected spikes as well as seasonal transaction volume. I'll give you an example. So we have this enterprise CICS solution or service that's consumed by a multi-channel internet-based application, averaging about 30 million transactions a day. Last year on Black Friday, this application was hit, instead of 30 million times a day, almost 190 million times a day. 6 times the volume, almost 4,000 transactions per second. So we've developed our services using z/OS Parallel Sysplex, Workload Manager, Sysplex Distribution, and CICS. By doing so, we're providing high performance, highly available, scalable, and low-cost services, and we do it with confidence.
Wow, tremendous. Well, thank all three of you for sharing your stories with everyone else. Please join me in thanking them.
They're supposed to be cute.
Great, thank you. So one last thing then I'd like to leave you with. And many of you have heard about the academic initiative we started 12 years ago, and the results speak for themselves, as you see behind me. But we're continuing to invest, right? We're continuing to invest in Generation Z, as you see, Yun and Magda and many of you sitting in the audience. Most recently, we've taken our online Z courses. We announced last year the massively open online courses. We're continuing to extend those, most recently with the Linux Foundation. And then in addition, we're taking the Z Jobs and have now extended that so that it's not just a place that you can go post jobs, but those looking for a job can also post themselves and be a bit of a matchmaker in between. So look forward to continuing to work with you and partner with you to continue to develop the next generation of Z professionals. And with that, the moment you've all been waiting for, I'd like to bring Ross back up for the big giveaway and finish.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you. Autograph guitar. Okay, you've heard a lot about the Z13 and all the software that goes along with it today. I'm not going to recap it, but you've heard a lot about our mobile capability, our in-transaction analytics capability, cloud capability, what we're doing about skills. I would ask you, please make sure you find out about those 2 new software pricing changes that were announced. We'd love to talk to you about that. We'd love to talk to you about any of it. Hopefully it's given you some ideas and some interesting things to do when you get back home to your shop. When you leave here, make sure you go out and get a selfie, the Z13, out on the expo area, follow the red carpet, check out our movie, The New Possible, use the hashtag IBMZ when you're posting on social media. There's a lot of things going on at Interconnect, a special Gen Z session for the millennials if they want to get together. Rock the mainframe tonight at the Light nightclub to hear Vintage Trouble do a full electric, fully plugged in performance. They're fantastic. There's a lot of things for speed geeking for developers. There's a deeper dive into a lot of our solutions. We've got my CTO is here. If you want to talk to him, he's giving a lot of technical presentations. There's a lot to do. I hope you take advantage of it and learn more and more about what Z has to offer for you.